Hey, everybody. John Irvosis here. Still waiting for Gloria, but I thought it might be smart for me to start first and then see since I haven't had a guest on using this before. Um, okay, this is pretty good. I wanted to first make sure I wasn't listening to myself, which is good. The audio is not playing myself back in my ear. That's a good thing. Yeah, excellent. Um, but yeah, we're waiting for Gloria to log in. I'll start TikTok in a minute. You guys are more tolerant than TikTok. The TikTok folks come like in one big swarm, and if you're not there immediately, they're gone. So I figured you folks at least would be more tolerant waiting to get this set up. But Gloria said she was free at 6, so I'm hoping the instruction shouldn't be too hard to figure this out. But anyway, hello all, and hopefully yeah, this was the best way to do it because this way I can at least do guests very easily, even though you guys are a lot fewer people than TikTok. Gloria does not have TikTok, and I thought, you know what, explaining TikTok to somebody who doesn't have TikTok is like a nightmare. So, and the trolls are already all over TikTok. Oh my god. Oh my god. No, my doctor visit was fine. I've had some numbness in my legs that's been annoying me over the years, and my doctors keep saying, "Oh, don't worry about it," and I'm like, "It's creeping numbness in my leg. It's creepy." So went to the guy today. He's pretty sure it's the disc being evil in my back, but usually that is not a very serious thing. So, but I finally had that test today, and then of course this broke in the morning, and I went, "Oh God." How do I? Salut Franck. Ça va? So, but yeah, so it's like perfect day to have everything else blow up. And exactly, making Gloria face TikTok might be a little crazy. So, but anyway, like I said, we're gonna wait a minute. What I'm thinking of doing is I'm gonna have my phone down here for you for TikTok once we figure out Gloria, but I'll have the phone down here for TikTok, and and that way at least the TikTok folks can see the screen, which will be good. So, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that with Canada. Jesus, what could stuff like this happen in Canada too? Really? What? I mean, Franck, t'es super choqué, mais pas trop super choqué quand même, huh? I mean, we know, you lived here. You know what this place is like. Good evening, John Sarge, Thomas Walsh. So, yes, we're waiting for Gloria to log in. Hopefully, it's not a problem. I gave her my cell just in case, because, these things can be difficult for first time using them. So, hopefully, but Gloria's really good. Interesting. Gloria's interesting with this stuff because I had worked with her when she was at Planned Parenthood back in the early 2000s, and I was a consultant there. But Gloria was always Gloria's very glass half full when I'm glass half empty. I believe in scaring the hell out of people to get them motivated. And Gloria is much more, I would say, rah rah. She got mad at me a little bit on Twitter the other day because I was talking about how we're going to lose this election in the fall if you people don't. And she was like, no, don't say that. I was like, all right, different schools. But as I said, we'll give her a minute. And my guess too is that she's probably doing lots of interviews today, is my guess. So, not surprisingly. So, but I mean, we can also just start talking ourselves in the meantime. I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, well, Royce, you know what I'm going to do too? I'm gonna star some of the questions. I'm not starting TikTok yet because, well, first of all, TikTok, I've got to show the screen here, and I TikTok always gets so fussy. I mean, I guess the diehards would remain, and that's okay. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll start the TikTok just to have, although, you know what? I wanted to wait just in case she calls me on the phone. I'm going to wait. If TikTok starts 5-10 minutes late, they'll survive. So let's wait and see. But the streaming software, TikTok's software is proprietary, so you can't actually stream there in addition to everywhere else. And Gloria didn't have TikTok, so I didn't want to subject her to having to, get TikTok. Now, if you guys want to put a couple questions out, I see Royshin, I'm just going to pronounce your name that way because I'm never going to get it right. But if you guys want to put some questions now, assuming that Gloria makes it, why don't you put some now? Because I can star them. Oh, Gloria's there. Hold on. Let me actually, Gloria, unmute yourself. Maybe. I think you're muted. Maybe. Nope. Now you're muted. Go back to unmute. All right. Hang on. I've got to say, there we go. Now talk.
Okay. Now, can you hear me?
We are live with everyone. I forgot. I was going to say we're not live yet. We are live.
You're live. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I have some AirPods here, but I think I dropped them today and they might not be working. If it sounds okay, I'm just going to.
I think it sounds okay. What I'm going to do real quick is let me launch TikTok, because what I was going to do is point TikTok at the screen.
Okay.
And at least they can watch. Okay. As we were all discussing amongst ourselves, when I mentioned we talked about TikTok, they said, "Oh my God, don't inflict her on TikTok," because TikTok is a much wilder place.
Yes. So I understand, and I do love to dance, but I just as soon not do it in public.
Yes.
So
TikTok can be pretty cool, but there's also a lot of, it's like Twitter. There's a lot of evil on TikTok too. Yeah. I do not disturb. Let me get this going, and then. What I'm doing is, like I said, oops, Jesus. Live event. Go live, and let me. All right, one sec. Enhance filter. Boom. All right. And I'm going to set this up like this so I can see the screen. And that way it's good enough that the TikTokers should be able to see us. Right? I'm going to just warn them up front that, hold on. Yep, that's the screen. Datched screen. All right. And I'm just going to warn them up front that I'm going to leave the mic loose so that they can hear you and me and everything else. And I'll put your mic up a little. Okay. And you know what? Let's wait one more minute. I might as well tell you what's going on. We have YouTube, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have Twitch. It's a nice way of spreading it around to everybody. And then we've got TikTok on the phone. And I was just saying for the TikTok folks, as you come on, that there was no way to stream to TikTok simultaneously. So I've pointed my phone at the screen with Gloria. And I'm checking one last time. You guys can see Gloria and me, and you should be able to hear us, except that I won't be able to see your comments. But that is how we're doing it. So, Gloria, let me start I'll read your background again anyway. I gave it to folks briefly before we even came. But Gloria Feldt is a New York Times bestselling author, speaker, commentator, and feminist activist who gained national recognition as a social and political advocate of women's rights. In 2013, she and Amy Linsenberger founded Take the Lead, a nonprofit initiative with a goal to propel women to leadership parity by 2025. She is a former CEO and president of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, directing the organization from 1996 to 2005. And that's when I met Gloria, because I was doing consulting work there. And I just told folks I was always impressed because you were always kind of a glass half full gal, and I was a glass half empty guy. And I told him about our Twitter spat too. I said, I tend to be negative. Gloria's positive. How much should people be freaked out?
Well, they should be very freaked out. They should be freaked out enough to be active. They should be freaked out enough to make sure that they are getting involved in making sure that that people who are making the laws and appointing Supreme Court members, et cetera, are the people that they want to have in those positions, because they are people who will respect human and civil rights,
Right.
such as for women and LGBTQ and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because that is, I think, I think this is a moment when people need to turn their fear into power,
Right.
and the power to actually do the things, John, that you taught us to do at Planned Parenthood, that you taught us how to organize, and you taught us how to do all those things. And that's what I mean. There's nothing else left to do.
Is it
That's
too late?
That's it.
Is it too
No,
late?
no, it's not too late. It's not too late, but I do think it is nearly too late. And I think that the 2020 and 2022 and 2024 elections are going to determine very much about the future of this country, if indeed there is one.
Right. Now, how did we get to this point? And I raised this because you had said, God, back in 2004 or so, we had just won a big gay rights decision. It was probably the Sodomy law, I'm guessing, being struck down. And I remember you had said to me, Gloria, at a luncheon, and you said, John, don't rest on your laurels as a community, you gay community, like we did in the choice movement. And I asked you, what do you mean? Maybe tell people, and this is part of the how we got to where we are today, I think, to some degree. Did we let this happen? I mean,
I don't think it does a whole lot of good to blame ourselves, but the truth is that every social movement goes through this process. You work really hard, you make progress, you win something, and then the fire sort of goes out, or the wind goes out of your sails. And for the reproductive rights movement, in particular, because it involves not just advocacy, but also tremendous amount of resources that have to go into providing actual services to actual human beings. You know, I mean, there's a need to focus on how do you help that next human being, that next young woman that walks through your door. And I know that I came into the movement in 1974, a year after Roe was decided. And honestly, I distinctly remember when I was being interviewed for my first job at Planned Parenthood that most of the board members who were interviewing me were like, okay, well, we're done. We're done.
In 1973,
1974. This was 1974 when I joined.
Like we won Roe v. Wade. It's over.
It's over. We had Title X family planning funding. We had Title X. That was pouring money into family planning clinics and starting up new family planning clinics of all kinds all over the country. There was Title 20 also of the Social Security Act that was massively funding family planning, part of the Great Society. And that, you know, I mean, people really thought, okay, we're done. We have won. We can go about putting all our resources into providing services.
Right.
And I remember the charge I was given was go open clinics everywhere. And that was really fun. I loved doing that. And that is a big part of the strength and the basis of the strength of the reproductive rights and justice movement.
Right.
But it's not enough. You have to also invest in the advocacy piece, and you have to be willing to play hardball.
Right.
I'm going to say, I hate to say this, but it's really hard to get women to play hardball.
Why?
Are
you nicer than us? And I mean that
it's not hardwired. You know, it's all culturally learned.
Right.
But we're taught to be nice, and we're taught to not make noise.
Don't rock the boat.
And don't rock the boat. And don't, you know, and yeah, there have always been women who have been willing to do it. You may see, I have on my shirt today, well-behaved women rarely make history. I happened to have this on when I went to the gym this morning, and I decided, well, you know what? I'm just keeping this on because I'm going to be doing these interviews today, and I want this shirt on when I do these interviews. Right. So, yeah, it's really is a constituency that's very difficult to get to play the kind of hardball that you see now. I mean, and I was just talking to somebody about how I used to be able to put pro-choice Republicans together with what you could work across the aisle very productively and easily, but you can't anymore. And if you are you're pro-choice,
right?
You are kind of live and let live. You're more tolerant. You're not. The whole point is you don't want the government telling you what to do with your most personal decisions.
Right.
If you are on the other side, however, there's a clear hierarchical doctrinaire
Right.
philosophy, and people will fall in line.
And if they really think it's murder, that's a hell of a lot more motivation potentially than you've got. I mean, you're fighting for your bodies. They think you're committing murder. I mean, as a motivation tool, it's
a big motivation tool. But I contend that it's the abortion issue is not about abortion and never has been. It is about power and who has it and who wields it over whom and for what purpose. And when you look into the history of how the evangelical right made unholy alliance with the Republican Party,
right?
And they honestly did it by, this is another part of the answer to your question, by the way. They did it very much by using the levers of democracy. And you can't fault people for using the levers of democracy. You have to use it more and better. And again, you taught us that, John. You have to, you can't ever sit down. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. There's just no question about it. But they're much more doctrinaire about it. And they're more disciplined about it. They're willing to fall in line. And once they had made that alliance, then many of the people who follow that philosophy, shall we say, don't really believe it, but they believe they have to say it in order to get elected. That's their constituency now. That's their hardcore constituency.
Well, it's something our good friend Connie Watts, who's a woman I worked directly for when I was working with Gloria. And I think Connie had said to me once, or maybe you did, but I was talking about the Supreme Court back in 2004. And I was told, our members don't get revved up about the Supreme Court. Like, it's not the issue that gets them going. And what is that still? I mean, today that changes, but why is that? Why was that a problem?
Because for so many, literally decades, it was the courts that actually expanded liberties.
Okay.
If you think about the trajectory of the civil rights movement, if you think about, for the most part, even though there were some bad decisions over the course of the years, for the most part, it was generally the courts that maintained that clear focus on expanding civil liberties.
Right.
But that's the court is now not, the court is now as political as everybody else. So that's unfortunate. And I think it erodes people's trust and positive feelings about the court. But I hope it also makes them realize that it matters who wins elections. Because that's who gets to appoint the court. I remember when one of the cases, when one of the, I guess the Carhart case came down, one of the many cases that kind of danced around the edges of Roe but didn't overturn it. And people were going on, saved by the bell again. And I had buttons made that say, and I still have one, which 9 next time? It's like, who are going to be the 9 judges the next time that a case comes up? Well, now we can see the results of which 6 anyway.
Right. I've already got a number of questions coming in, and frankly, I think it's more interesting doing Q&A anyway. Sure. Guys, I'm just going to take these sort of in the row. I've got them. Okay, Royshan says, please explain fully. I always pronounce her name wrong. She's from Ireland. Please explain fully the ramifications of Roe being struck down, not just protected abortion rights, but LGBT. I would also throw in contraception. Yes. What's the deal there?
So the history of the decisions around reproduction and sexuality have been based on a presumed right in the Constitution of privacy. And at the time that Griswold versus Connecticut was decided in 1965, there had been no gender equality cases before the court. And so the only stare decisis they had was this right to privacy concept. In other words, the right to be left alone with personal and private decisions. And that, I mean, that has been deeply ingrained in decisions of the court since the early 20th century.
Right.
but it's not written in the Constitution. So Griswold was decided on the right to privacy, and then built upon that was Roe, decided on the right to privacy, and built upon that was Lawrence versus Texas on
Right.
the right to privacy, and then came
which was the
marriage.
Sodomy decision.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And then came same-sex marriage. And so all of those, each of these cases that really has to do with human sexuality and right to control fertility have been based on a presumed right to privacy, but
Right.
not something that is written in the Constitution.
Right. Right. Okay. Did you want to say more? Or do you want
Well,
me
I
to?
would just say, so
Yeah.
as Roe goes, so goes everything else.
Okay.
Full stop.
Java Violet. Actually, there we go. I was trying to put the questions on the screen so you could see it too. Simply asked, what can we do next? I'm afraid of the aftermath of this ruling, especially considering same-sex marriage and other laws that might fall apart.
Mm-hmm. There is basically the most important thing to do is to get involved in the political process. And by that, I mean, first of all, and most simply, make sure that you are registered to vote. Make sure that you know where to vote, because there have been so many new voter registration laws. You know, I've been doing a podcast called Lady Liberty is Very Pissed with 3 other women.
Right. Very angry for you.
The very stands for voting rights,
Mm.
equal rights as in equal civil rights,
Okay.
and reproductive rights.
Right.
Yes, we need all 3 of those,
Right.
because they are all tied together. And the onslaught is really against all 3 of those. And so because there have been so many new voter suppression laws,
Right.
and because with redistricting, there have been so many changes in voting places and your vote, you know, what your districts might be for Congress or your state legislature and so forth.
Right.
Get yourself educated right now and know exactly where and how to vote. Make sure your voter registration is up to date, that you know exactly when and how you're going to cast your votes. Okay, that's the simplest thing.
Right.
But also get information about the candidates. Get also lined up with an organization like, for example, NARAL, that has chapters all over the country, and they have a very robust way of helping volunteers get plugged into to races where they can make a difference. And there are many other organizations that are doing that too. I just call that one out because I think people tend to know that one.
Okay.
But and because they do have that, they really do have a very robust way of putting volunteers where they need to be, especially on this issue. And you know, you can write checks if you can to candidates you believe in. Speak up, tell your, you know, today we interviewed Glenda Carr, who is the founder of Higher Heights for Women, that supports, that recruits and trains and supports Black women to run for office.
Right.
And one of the things that she said is their secret weapon is that nobody goes to the polls alone. That everybody, like, they take their family, they talk to their family, they talk to their friends, they talk to their colleagues, you know, everybody is like urging the people around them to vote as well.
Right.
And that's it turns out, not only is politics local, but politics is very, very individual, very, you know, it's very personal. And
right.
And if you hear from somebody you know and trust that they are voting and they are voting for so and so, and here's why, it really makes a difference for them. And don't be cynical. Right. Don't be cynical. That is, I mean, you know, this is, John, you started off saying you were the negative and I was the positive sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I think both of us agree you can't be cynical.
Correct. I mean, and I'm always positive. I mean, I think you've got to win by being pissed off, but that you always have to believe you can win.
Yes.
That we agree on. Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, I've got more questions. I don't mean to sort of cut you off.
I know, and I'm talking. I'm making long answers, so I'll try to be.
You're giving good answers, but I've got like 5 or 6. Well, because what we do too is, if people buy a question, we try to get the question answered, because there's so many questions that it's a nice way to contribute. So Harvey, who is in Great Britain,
Ooh.
Looking at the current Supreme Court ruling, would you consider the outcome a fundamentally American problem in terms of the high number of evangelical Christians who are opposed to abortion, or is it more political?
Harvey, I would say it's both. I would say it's both. I mean, I think right now it is definitely an American problem because it has to do with the political divide in this country. And but it is it can happen anywhere, and it is the personal, as I say, is political. And of course, what we've been seeing in the last few years is as other countries that you would never expect actually liberalizing their laws around abortion, whereas the U.S. has been doing just the opposite.
Yeah.
So some of it very much is the United States, but it can happen anywhere.
U.S. and Hungary, yay! In tandem. Jennifer asks if you can explain what a trigger law is.
Okay. Yes, I think I can. You may need to help me, John, on this one. But I believe that a trigger law is where the state law is anti-abortion, has restrictions on abortion that were unconstitutional as long as Roe stood.
Right.
But they have a clause in them that says, and if Roe were to be overturned, then this law would immediately go into effect and abortion would become illegal in the state. Am I correct about that?
That's what I know. And, you know, it's funny. The number before today thrown around was about 20 states. Today on CNN, they were going more conservative and saying 13 states have these laws where basically they'll outlaw abortion immediately or almost outlaw. A number, I was looking briefly at the New York Times, a number of the states, for example, will let you have an abortion up to 6 weeks, which I'm told, not being a woman, that most women don't know they're pregnant at 6 weeks.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Right. Let me throw Raggedy Android. Does this affect HIPAA at all? First of all, tell people what HIPAA is. And I mean, I know not to make you a HIPAA expert, but
yeah, that's a great question, actually. And what's good about that question is that it really casts light on the fact that this ruling is not going to be enforced in a simple way. There are going to be a lot of issues like this that are much more complicated that have to do with healthcare privacy. And HIPAA is a healthcare privacy rule that I mean, you know, some of these laws allow anybody to be a vigilante and to to get control of information that they shouldn't have that should be private health information. So it's been a while since I knew exactly the terms of HIPAA, but essentially it's that your healthcare information is private.
Right. You know, actually, let me just remind folks really quick, because some folks come on a little bit later. I'm interviewing Gloria Feldt, who has done many things in her life, but her claim to fame that I brought her on today, I would argue, is that she is the former head of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, running all of Planned Parenthood. And I thought she would be a particularly interesting guest to talk to us about Roe v. Wade, just to reset where we are.
Okay. All right. Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Because I am going to suggest that so many of these issues that we're talking about today are things that I researched in great detail and wrote about in my book, The War on Choice, that was published in 2004. And it includes a roadmap for exactly what needed to be done then to prevent happening what has happened now.
Right.
But it's all still very usable, and it might be helpful to people who are saying, what can I do?
Right. Okay. What's it called again?
The War on Choice, the right-wing attack on women's rights and how to fight back.
By Gloria Feldt, Feldt.
Correct.
Let me throw this one. Melissa Tim is worried about her daughter. She lives in Alabama. What if her life were at risk due to pregnancy? Would they save her life?
No.
Wow. There you go.
Probably not.
Right.
Probably not.
There you go. Hang on, getting rid of some of these. I also have other things I can add, but since we've got questions, perfect. Trigger law we got. HIPAA we've got. Nicolina, who I always forget, Nicolina, she's Sweden or Norway or Denmark. I apologize. No, Sweden. She's Sweden. You can see she's Sweden. Nicolina's in Sweden. Will some doctors perform abortions anyway, but classify it as something else in order to help people in need of abortions?
It would not be surprising for that to happen because that was what happened before Roe. And but it will be hard to know and hard to track, and it will be because of excuse me, because of the laws like the Texas law that allows people to report on doctors or on women who get abortions.
Citizens to go after you if you got an abortion.
Yeah, I think people will be more afraid to do that. I really think they'll be more afraid to take that kind of risk. Certainly before Roe.
Right.
I mean, I will tell you that I learned after the fact that actually my OBGYN who had delivered 2 of my children,
right,
had actually been doing illegal abortions for years, and he was the leading OBGYN in town, literally. I mean, he was the head of all the societies and everything, and he had been, but and what he said, this is a needed practice, and it's such a happy practice. He said it's so helpful to people.
Right.
I had to do it. And so there have always been doctors who would do it. And then there have always been people who would take advantage, both monetarily and also take advantage from the perspective of maybe they weren't such good doctors. I mean, this guy happened to be one of the best, but they weren't all the best back in those days.
Right.
And it will be very risky for women. And many doctors will just simply not provide the service.
Right. Now, it's funny, my friend Franck in Paris, who I went to school with, asked a question that I actually was asked by an American as well, saying, is there any, a French member of parliament that he knows was asking, is there some way to overturn the decision that was made today?
The one way to overturn that decision is to elect people who will overturn that decision. First, legislatively, because there should be national legislation, there should be state legislation that is permissive toward reproductive rights, and that codifies in law that you have those rights.
Right.
So that's how you overturn it.
Well, but how? Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
pass new law. First, you elect the legislators who will pass new laws. That's only way to do it. That's it.
Can I clarify something? Because even I got confused because, and I just did a video earlier explaining to people what Roe actually does. Even I got confused. Roe v. Wade being gone doesn't mean abortion's illegal. It just means it's not constitutionally protected. We could still pass a nationwide law in Congress that protects the right to abortion, and then the states couldn't do anything about it.
That's correct. Now, it is conceivable that the Supreme Court, as it is currently constituted, could also overturn that federal law, because you can guarantee that somebody would sue. And, but as my friend Jevin Hodge, who is running for Congress in my district in Arizona, says, if you want to change the laws, change the lawmakers. And that's really the only way you can do it. And that's, elections do have consequences, and we have to understand that it was a long road to get here, and it will be a long road to get to the next place. And you
eventually changed the Supreme Court, because my suspicion is new liberal justices, even though it's not considered appropriate to change back and forth, I think they change back and forth on this because it's such a travesty. I hope.
Yes.
Now, Tyson was asking again the name of your book.
The name of the book that I mentioned is The War on Choice, The Right-Wing Attack on Women's Rights and How to Fight Back. And I believe you can still order it from anywhere, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. How much more time do you actually have for real?
I'm just looking at this, and I can see that my husband is walking in the door, and
he's
very hungry. He's looking hungry.
Likes me.
He likes you. He likes you. It's 6:30. Yes, he's reminding me that I said I would be done at 6:30, but I'm talking to my friend John Aravosis here, and I'll give him 2 more minutes. How's that? Okay. And then it's pizza time.
Perfect. And pizza time. Don't want to ruin a marriage over this. Enough marriages may be ruined over this.
Right.
Who is this guy?
You know John Arabosa.
Me?
Don't
I
knock my
do.
light over. It's very
I'm not.
precarious up there.
You had
We had dinner in his house.
place in Long Island City. And you brought me the,
Yes.
When
brought me
was
the
that?
duck. Brought me the walking, talking, singing duck.
Yes, right. You did. You brought him the singing duck.
I did.
Yes.
You did.
Well, you must have been deserving.
I was gonna say that's my claim to fame.
He's a dear friend. Yes. He deserves every duck he can get.
Do you
Yes.
talk to your duck?
I think that's between me and my duck. Mr. Bell.
Yeah, I do. I
Yes.
go whack, whack, whack.
He still has the right to privacy about his
Exactly.
Okay.
duck. Yes.
You
okay.
got 30 seconds left.
Okay, we're gonna finish up.
I know. I'm trying to. I mean, well, Gloria, help me out here. I mean, because I was trying to look at my questions, but I don't feel like there's really. I mean, I've got two. They're all over the place about disability, and we already know this. That who knows what's going to happen in terms of disability, rape,
Right.
any of the issues that could happen here. I mean,
So I also want to mention in vitro fertilization, for
Yep.
example. There is going to be a tremendous impact on all of the fertility technologies that we have come to expect are going to be available to us. What is going to happen with all of that? That remains to be seen. There will be massive litigation about that too, I'm sure.
how did Roe protect in vitro fertilization?
Well, it's because as long as the woman took priority in law,
Right.
then that's the point. But as long as the fertilized egg is considered to be more important in law than the woman,
Right.
then what are you going to do? I mean, you can't. In vitro fertilization generally involves fertilizing a number of eggs and saving them or not saving them and implanting them, and some of them will live and some of them will not live. This is more complicated medical stuff than I can really explain, but I can guarantee you that there are going to be many issues that will arise that will surprise people.
And Roe did help protect challenges to in vitro fertilization. I did not realize that.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Fertility treatments in general. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, let me ask you. Okay, last question. Contraception. I almost feel silly telling people that these guys went after contraception years ago. Are they going? Is it still? Do they still want to go after contraception?
Wait. Let me just show you something that
Okay.
I'm going to see if I can find this picture. Hopefully I made a picture of the picture. Yes, I did. Okay. This is in People magazine right now.
Right.
You can see that. Apparently, Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, just read it. Read it.
Clarence Thomas, in a concurring opinion, Justice Clarence Thomas writes, the court should reconsider rulings legalizing gay marriage and birth control.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
They used to literally go after, and we're not talking the 1950s. They would go after birth control. I mean, it was
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because again, it's not about abortion. It is about whether women will have an equal place in the world. It is about power, who has it, who wields it, and over whom.
Okay, here's my last question. I swear to God, I'm letting you go. Did the Republicans catch the tiger?
Say that again. Let me make sure I did that. Do they have the tiger by the tail? Is that it?
How many Republicans are now really worried because they never thought we were going to outlaw abortion? They just wanted to run on outlawing abortion?
You'd have to ask them that. But I believe they do have a tiger by the tail, and I know that certainly the price of gas is very important to people. But I also think that this is an issue that will galvanize many, many, many people who have not been galvanized in the past.
Yeah.
And who will find out that eternal vigilance really is the price of liberty, and they have to get involved and engaged. So,
okay, Gloria, thank you. One last time, tell folks the name of your book. We'll make one last pitch.
Okay, all right. Well, it's that particular book is called "The War on Choice: The Right-Wing Attack on Women's Rights and How to Fight Back," because it basically has a roadmap for how to solve these problems.
But feel free to pitch another book and where people can find out more about you.
Okay. All right. Well, my personal website is gloriafeldt.com. You just have to remember that Feldt is spelled F-E-L-D-T.
Yep.
And my latest book is called Intentioning Sex Power Pandemics and How Women Will Take the Lead for Everyone's Good.
Excellent. Well, thank
Okay.
you, Gloria. And we
Good
pulled it off. I'm very
Oh,
happy.
good to see you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. I don't even know if I remove you. I remove you.
You
Okay.
removed me. Okay. All right.
Bye, Gloria. Thank you. Huh, that worked. I'm kind of surprised. All right, TikTokers, I'm going to try to move you around. Whoa. Oh my God. There we go. Good enough. You know what? Let me move TikTokers around one sec. I had to move my entire setup so I could have TikTok focusing on my screen, and it was making it a little more confusing here. So I'm putting you back to where you belong. Oh, here we go. All right, putting TikTok back here. That works well enough. Yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't. Oops, you're in the you're in the way there. I couldn't turn the camera around mid discussion because it was so set up in kind of a tricky position where I had the camera for the TikTokers that I would have had to reach around in front of my screen and I would have lost the where it was pointing and everything else. So that didn't really that was not going to help us. So anyway, hello everybody. Well, I hope that was interesting. I can even get my my this on my TikTok flip screen. Well, I mean, we don't really need to flip the screen today. I don't have any. I spent my day working on this and did not spend the day working on Ukraine. So I kind of thought maybe we should make this a discussion about the Roe v. Wade decision for this point. I mean, I can do Q&A on Ukraine, but I'm not up on the news that happened today on Ukraine. You know. So what do you folks think? Chime in here. Chime in, folks, because we can still sit here and just chat about stuff. Okay, glad folks thought it was good. Yeah, Gloria's great. I wish we could have gotten her longer, but she's busy and her husband did just come home. He's funny. Her husband's a trip. Absolute trip. But what else? But yeah, she's wonderful. Wonderful woman. But what else, guys? I don't know. I mean, I can bring up some of the stuff I saw, so yeah, so the trigger law stuff was interesting because the trigger law stuff was basically at least 13 states. I had heard 20. Oh, hey, Michael. Didn't see you were popping in there. Wait, you just went flying by the screen. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay, I mean, let's start with that. Will this get people to vote in the midterm? My friend Michael asks. I mean, this. Oh, there we go. I can take my glasses off, Joanna. It makes it easier. I mean, that's sort of my question for you guys. Is this going to turn people out? Are people going to be pissed enough that this changes things? I mean, there's a part of me that hopes that this ticks people off so much in addition to all the Trump stuff. I mean, the Trump stuff wasn't enough, and we knew that. But was it 58% of the American people want Trump indicted, which is a really interesting poll number. You start to add this to it too. And once again, you're reminding people of how Republicans can go too far and how these Republicans go too far. The current people running the Republican Party, right? So maybe, I mean, clearly we're going to have to try. I do think it's kind of interesting that that the Republicans are already. It's funny on TikTok. I already had Republicans on TikTok, not the nasties, but people going, "Oh, you're lying, you're exaggerating," and they were trying to just downplay everything as if everything I'm talking about, like these trigger laws where 13 states will immediately outlaw abortion, like I was just making it up and because they're afraid of it being really bad. And they wanted to run on banning abortion. They didn't want to actually ban it because they thought it would blow up in their face. It does sound like something Russia would do. It absolutely, no, we're in good company, probably, although Russia, who knows? Russia probably does have abortions. I don't even know. But Yeah, and then there's expanding the Supreme Court. I mean, you know, sorry. It's hard, Joanna, because I can't read the screen without my glasses. So here, if I bend down, you don't see the other lights. I'll do that. The whole thing is BS. Harvey, considering the American minority group population, typically left-leaning voters, blacks, super left-leaning, Latinos, and Latinos are getting more questionable as time goes on, but blacks certainly is growing and will soon reach 50%. That's people of color reaching 50%. Do you think the US's lean towards the political right will continue or not? Part of the problem is I don't know, and I don't know if any of you want to Google. I don't know. I know the poll numbers are very good on Roe v. Wade and abortion generally in America. What I don't know is what those poll numbers are in the Black community and the Latino community. The Latino community can have a very conservative bent to it sometimes because they're Catholics. The Black community can have a very conservative bent to it sometimes because they're Baptists. There are also Catholics there too in the Black community. Some are Catholics, some are Baptists. So I don't know what the polls show, but I think on an issue like this, being a cultural issue that also plays into some real religious stuff, I'd be curious what the poll numbers really are, Harvey. Is anybody, I mean, if anybody there is up on the poll numbers, I don't know. This could jeopardize. I mean, I will say this is a huge wild card for Republicans in November. Okay. That is true. I mean, Debbie was asking, does this jeopardize the November vote for Republicans? It could. And the Supreme Court could overturn gay rights. Yeah. I mean, as Gloria was saying, Clarence Thomas, in his concurring opinion or whatever, said that they also need to go after same-sex marriage and they need to go after contraception as well, because he thinks they were horrific decisions. There was, this was good. This was great. Along that line, okay, Alito, who wrote the opinion, okay, listen to this. Alito writes, to ensure that our decision is not misunderstood or mischaracterized, he wrote, we emphasize that our decision concerns the constitutional right to abortion and no other right. Nothing in this opinion should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion. Yeah, well, here's the deal, Sherlock. If you've got gay marriage that was based on Roe v. Wade and Casey, and Roe v. Wade and Casey don't exist anymore, then wither gay marriage. I mean, it's cute for him to say, oh, we don't intend this to impact any of those other decisions, but it's as if you've got, blocks, like blocks that kids have. If you pull out one block or two blocks, the house falls. You can't pull out two blocks and say, well, we don't intend the house to fall. Well, what does that mean? If anything, I think he put that in there. I think he put that in there as language for the Republicans. I can mirror my screen. I don't see what you guys get out of it though, but I'll mirror it. Hold on, since I'm not using the map today. Hang on. There, does that make you feel better? The TikTokers were getting very adamant about mirroring the screen. I couldn't do it while Gloria was talking because it would have made a mess. Sorry, was that the one from you I already got, I think? Let me look. Yeah, I already got Harvey's thing. But yeah, I mean, we certainly hope it's gonna gay marriage, Funk. I've got to pull up again gay marriage. Gay marriage was based on the abortion decisions and all the related decisions because it was based on the right to privacy. And what these guys just said is there is no right to privacy in the Constitution. But that's what gay marriage, that's how it happened. I've got to go back and look at the decision, but I remember at the time when I read the decision, it just, and the Sodomy decision, Lawrence v. Texas, which Gloria was talking about, America, like many countries, maybe, we used to have sodomy laws. And it said that, sodomy is illegal. And basically sodomy is oral sex and sex otherwise. I don't want to use words that'll get me banned on here. But what they would do in the States, they would, thank you for that. What they would do in the States, they would very often apply it just to gay people. And Lawrence v. Texas was actually a very famous case of the cops coming and bursting into the house of two gay men while they were having sex and arresting them for having sex in Georgia. And it was the most crazy decision. Right? You're like, what are they doing? They're bursting into these guys' homes because they got a tip. Hey, they're gay and they're having sex in their own bedroom. That is also at risk here. That is also at risk because, again, you read through these cases and you'd be surprised how many of all of these abortion, contraception, privacy, they're the laws they relied on. So no, it's a mess. I mean, it's a mess. What else we got here, guys? And sorry for you guys, I can only, because I've got you on my phone. If I move you over to my iPad, it's going to cancel you and then start you again. We could do that because I have a better, I can see your questions more easily if I move you over to my iPad. I'm just a little nervous about starting again, but looking at the numbers, you're all the diehards. How do you Twitter folks or Twitter? What do you TikTok folks feel? Should I move you over to my iPad? Because that way I can see the screen much better as well. Because I'm only seeing 1 or 2 questions at a time here, but on my screen I can see 10. Okay, I'm moving you. All right, let me launch this, and it should automatically switch you. Well, it may not switch you over, but let me see. It may just cancel it and start it again. Go live. You're on another live. Okay, here we go. Wait, go live. Here we go. All right, it's ending this one, starting that one. Boom. Oh, there we go. There we go. Perfect. All right. Oops. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Now I can put my microphone here and we'll go back to our hello, Puppy and Amanda. There. Now we go back to our regularly scheduled chat here. But yeah, I mean, that's the big question. But a lot of Republicans, I was already seeing a lot of Republicans who were not, thank you, Putin sucks, who were not happy. Like I said, about a lot of Republicans did not want this to go through. They wanted to keep fighting on this forever and forever and forever. Well, yes, Frank. I mean, Frank says, so what you're saying is that all privacy rights are at risk through that Supreme Court decision? Yes, because Roe v. Wade was the seminal decision that recognized a right to privacy. And you therefore had cases like the gay rights decisions and the contraception decisions that were also based on a right to privacy. Thank you, Marcy. So that if you get rid of Roe v. Wade and Casey, the underpinning of the right to privacy, then the other cases that are based on it, like gay rights or contraception, could be in real danger. And again, he tried to make it sound like, you know, Alito, like, oh, no, it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Of course it matters. I mean, it's literally the underpinning of the case and it's gone. Like, you know, and the HIPAA thing was interesting. I didn't think of the HIPAA thing. I saw you guys asking that. That was very interesting. Now, the only thing is we didn't have enough time to sort of get into all of it. Yeah, Jabberwolf, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? If you can make an argument, make it. Make it. But go look at the gay victories in the Supreme Court, and you're going to see liberal mentions of women's reproductive rights decisions. So good luck with that. What else we got here? Sorry, I'm trying to see what I am going to have my glasses on. It's hard to read the screen without these. Oh, they tried, Laka. That's funny you raised that. They tried. One of the when the sodomy laws were struck down. Okay. There was a dissent. And, the dissent are the justices who don't agree, and they can write their own opinion as to why they don't agree. And there was a famous dissent written by, what's his face who died, the Italian. I'm already forgetting his name. The one they all love. Oh God, you know who I mean. The one they all love, that Cheney would go, Scalia. Thank you. Scalia wrote this famous dissent about how, if we can't ban sodomy, we won't be able to ban a lot of things. States will no longer be able to ban. And he went through a number of things, including the word for self-pleasure. He literally said that states would lose the right to regulate self-pleasure. Again, the M word, but I don't want to say it and get myself in trouble with TikTok or anything else. I mean, crazy stuff, just crazy stuff, really just amazing. Really amazing. Yeah. Today we're doing Roe v. Wade because it was a huge decision. And I had to really bone up on it today and do some reading. And I was at a doctor's office for 2 hours as well. So I had no time to try to prepare and get up to speed on Ukraine today. So I did not. And thought it was important enough. And I knew I could get my friend Gloria Feldt to come. So I thought we try to get Gloria. And anyway, there we are. But no, I mean, my take on things is much more political. That's obviously where I come from. And I just think it's going to be very interesting what this does, because this is now, the election is up for grabs now. And I don't mean the poll numbers are going to change immediately, but the election's up for grabs. The Republicans were far ahead of winning the House and the Senate in the fall. In the fall, we have our congressional elections. In 2 years, in 2024, we have the presidential. But as far as the congressional elections, currently the Republicans are, very far ahead. This is a whole other questions. This is a whole other question in terms of what happens with the fall election. And I don't think anybody knows yet, and the Republicans don't know yet, because this is going to piss people off. It's going to energize people. It's going to get a lot of people to join these organizations, to give money, like Gloria was saying. And it's an issue for Democrats to keep hitting on and hitting on and hitting on. And what are Republicans going to say? A lot of Republicans. Do you remember when that brief was released, the Alito brief, right? A couple of months ago. And initially, it's funny because initially we thought a Democrat did it. And then all of a sudden, everyone realized, and they went, wait a minute, if a Democrat released the decision, all that does is lock the decision in, because the Supreme Court would say, well, the decision's released. We can't water it down now. That would be caving to pressure. So why would a Democrat release it? It would make more sense to have a Republican release the decision, because a Republican who might have feared that, for example, Justice Roberts was going to try to water down the decision. You release it and then it's fixed in stone, basically. So you had that decision released, and I was on a tangent here. I was on a tangent, but it was a good tangent. Oh man, I think it's also, I'm reading your comments as I'm doing this, and it's making me forget. What was I going to say with this? Shoot, because we're thinking about the election and the stuff in the fall. Michael, Republicans have been running from this ruling ever since it was like, thank you. That's what I was going to say. My friend Michael says Republicans have been running from this ruling ever since it was leaked. When it got leaked, did you notice Fox News and the Republicans in Congress came out and screamed about the leak? Mitch McConnell was asked about the decision itself. Now, Democrats asked about the decision, said, oh my God, this is horrific if this is true. Republicans asked about the decision. I would say almost not a single Republican who was asked said, well, if it's true, it's good news, of course. No. Mitch McConnell was asked, and he goes, I think the bigger issue, mind you, we have a decision in essence outlawing abortion in America, in essence, in practice. And McConnell goes, I think the bigger issue is who leaked it. And they said, yeah, but what about the decision? He goes, the decision, the court will make the decision however they make the decision. That's all he had to say when his party is firmly behind repealing Roe v. Wade, overturning Roe v. Wade. So like Michael said, they were running from it. They were running from it. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Get all those Republican white men in Congress to talk about how this is the best thing we ever did, taking reproductive rights away from women. Get them on the record saying it. Get them on the record saying it, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So, ooh la la. Anyway, what else, guys? As I said, I do not have Ukraine update for today because I was working on this all day. This was such a big story. There was no time to even start looking at the Ukraine stuff. So unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say that. The one update I did actually do, that's funny. I did actually do 1 or 2 updates this morning before all of this stuff started. And basically the news was it's Severo and the collaborator. Yeah. So basically, it looks like the Ukrainians have finally given up on Severodonetsk. I mean, I'll say this briefly just for folks on Severodonetsk, which you all know by now with my handy dandy t-shirt, the town in the far east of Ukraine that they've been fighting over. Looks like the Ukrainians are finally doing a strategic retreat, meaning they've decided it's not worth fighting anymore. And they're frankly at risk of being surrounded, but also they've accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. I mean, the Ukrainians wanted to tie up the Russians. They wanted to force the Russians to put even more men and more equipment there. They did a good job blowing up a lot of the Russians, and it set the Russians back for being able to fight back in other parts of the country. So this part of the battle's over. It still isn't clear. Mind you, part of the goal here was for Putin to be able to get that entire region, that entire Donbas region. And it's not clear that he's going to be able to do that still, even with getting Severodonetsk. Hold on 1 second here. Mm-hmm. I now have pills to help me with my chest tightness. So we're going to see if that helps. Thank you, the inspired. So that's the first thing. The other bit of news I saw today, which was quite wild, there was yet another attack by the resistance in Kherson, which is the Russian-occupied city down here. Kherson was the first major city that the Russians occupied. It is the city that there have been almost a bombing a day by the resistance, meaning by the regular citizens, the Ukrainian citizens who live there, who are clearly, thank you, Cami, who are clearly working with Ukrainian intelligence, getting bomb-making materials and all this kind of stuff. And they blew up another one. This guy was a collaborator with some kind of a sports and something else office, but he was a long-term pro-Russian collaborator type. And he became a full-blown collaborator working with the Russian administration. They blew his car up. He's gone. I mean, he's gone. Paulie, you're not going to see him no more. That's the end of that guy. These guys have had now almost daily bombs going off against collaborators in that region, in that town especially. So very interesting, very interesting. Anyway, that's it for what I've got about the actual updates. The actual updates on Ukraine. As I said, was not able to yawning again. I was not able to do, but we can still talk Ukraine if you got other stuff here. I mean, if you guys saw news, thank you, Louis. if you guys saw news, I'm happy to comment on it. We can certainly do that. And feel free to we can still do Roe v. Wade and everything. Tomorrow we'll do our usual. Tomorrow's Saturday. So tomorrow we'll do our 2 p.m. Eastern. And it'll be Ukraine. I think it'll still be Ukraine and Roe. Let's see sort of what the additional fallout is on Roe. There may not be any new news. If there isn't much new news, we won't spend much time on Roe. I mean, but we'll see. But it still is a topic I think worth mentioning tomorrow. But I will bone up back on Ukraine again. So Mike is saying the Russian Foreign Ministry sees the decision to allow Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova to join the EU as anti-Moscow. Oh, they frickin' see toilet paper as anti-Moscow. Are they not the biggest bunch of whiners on the planet? The Russians? My God. I mean, like literally the most insecure whiners that have ever been. The European Union is thus continuing its line of penetrating the Commonwealth of Independent States for the purpose of containing Russia. The Commonwealth of Independent States, does that even exist anymore? All means are used from financial and economic leverage to military support. Oh, hang on, get the rest of this. Zakharova explained that the EU had also pushed aside the otherwise strict criteria for accession, such as the problem the Russians have is that it's not like NATO is chasing all the former Russian hostages, right? You've got the former hostages that were part of the Soviet Union, and you've got the former hostages that were part of the Eastern Bloc, the communist bloc of Eastern Europe. They were all hostages to Moscow. Like when the hostages were freed, it's not really a surprise that the hostages ran to the nearest cop they could find and say, please protect me. He's crazy. And he held me hostage for 50 years, or in some cases, 70 years. Okay? Not a surprise. So, I mean, you have to laugh at this whole, and again, I would say our guys don't do nearly enough. You hear the Russians, thank you for evolving on that. Thank you for evolving. Thank you, evolving, for that. It's our guys don't do nearly a good enough job constantly putting the message back there. That's just that country after country leaves. And you know why we don't? Because we're trying to be nice to them still. Ronald Reagan would go, the reason they're leaving you is because you're the evil empire, because you held them hostage for 50 years. That's why they're leaving you. That's why they're coming to us, because they're terrified of you, because you raped and pillaged them, because you destroyed their people, because in Ukraine alone, you murdered millions of their people. That's why they don't want to be with you. You're the date from hell. I mean, that's what if we had any balls, that's what would be our message to Russia. But we've got to sit here and go, we don't want to humiliate him. Anyway, as I said, I'm more hawkish on these kind of things. So if you don't like me on Roe, you might like me on Ukraine and Russia. So, ooh la la. What else we got going, guys? I'm sorry. Was there another? I missed right here. Was that the same? Oh yeah, Harvey's got one. Oh, hello, follow Felicia. That was pretty. I don't recall seeing those flowers before. Maybe I did, but I don't know if I did. Those were really pretty. Thank you. Oop. Harvey, you just disappeared. Hang on. There it is. It really seems like Boris Johnson is becoming a very straight talking Boris versus Boris and Natasha, as I like to call them. It really seems like Boris is becoming a very straight-talking Thatcher type with his comments. He released a statement today on the court ruling that the U.S. had taken a massive step backward. Good for him. Good for him. No, he's been good, and his cabinet too. His cabinet's been very boom, boom, boom in Russia's face. And I think somebody needs to, I mean, the problem is, interesting question. That's an interesting question, though, Blue Piggy's asking about. So none of the communist countries in the Soviet Union joined voluntarily. The problem is, I'm not sure. Well, I think Ukraine didn't, but I'm not sure who did or didn't join voluntarily. I do know that once you joined, it was It's like those roach motels they sell on TV. Remember, once you move in, you never move out. That once you joined, you were never leaving. Not only were you never leaving, you weren't even ever leaving the country. You couldn't go on vacation out of the country. I mean, it was a freaking dictatorship. They held their people hostage. Whether or not you moved in thinking you were moving into a really nice hotel that was going to offer you free meals and a free job, and then it was not so nice of a hotel. The job sucked, the food sucked, and they killed you kind of a lot. Like, so, yeah. And I was going to say, the Commonwealth of Independent States doesn't exist anymore. I mean, if it does, I'm sure Ukraine pulled out of it. And no, Johnson, and hey, Boris Johnson is doing what he's doing to help Boris Johnson, but nonetheless, it's what we need. It's the kind of thing we need. So I'm fine with it. And in any case, in the end, politicians tend to do things for selfish reasons. I mean, usually they do some things out of the goodness of their heart, but they tend to be very selfish. So the argument doesn't resonate with me a lot when somebody says, yeah, but they're doing that because they're trying to help, because they're in trouble and trying to help themselves. Aren't they all, But I mean, a lot of politicians believe in stuff too, obviously. So I'm not saying they don't. But what are you saying, Harvey? Looking into the history, specifically Ukraine, Russia actually invaded Ukraine in 1919. That's what I thought. The rest were captured after 1945. They were all held hostage. Did any of the Soviet socialist republics join willingly? That's what I'm wondering about. Eastern Europe, forget. Eastern Europe was a total hostage scene. My family's from Greece. I was born here. Another привіт. What is it z Ukrainy? Antivata? Misto Czerwonograd. Oh boy. Czerwonograd. I don't know that place. Czerwonograd or Czerwonograd. Well, give a little welcome to our Ukrainian friend here, folks, on TikTok, if you would. And there's our Chicago pilot. Czerwon Spish. Oh, Ukrainian. Ukrainian. Lori's saying, am I right in hearing that just because Ukraine has become a candidate to join the EU, it still could take years to fully happen? Oh, yeah. I mean, Turkey's been a candidate for 20 years now, 23 years now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. You've got to do all the right things. Be a good democracy, abolish all culture. I mean, Turkey's gone in obviously the wrong direction, big time. But yeah. So, oh yeah, I would imagine Macron and Trudeau would be good on the whole issue. Oh, are you not covered up? Hold on. I'm going to go cover up my dog because she was not feeling well again today. So I've got to be a good dog dad here. That's okay. Here. Ugh. All right. I'm back. Oop. Good question. Does anybody know what's the shortest time from candidate status to member of the EU? I don't know. That's a good question. Anybody know? Tom Perez? TikTok says that you guys blocked me. Hey, who blocked Tom Perez? That happens sometimes. I'm sorry. On TikTok, you got blocked. Okay, Tom, put down what your name is on TikTok, or like what your handle is or whatever. And one of the mods can help you out. It does happen sometimes, especially days like today when we're talking about abortion and we knew like all the crazies. Okay, if one of the mods, I'll highlight it there. If one of the mods can help Tom out, I would appreciate it. One of the mods looking at YouTube. if you can. They should in a second. It's hard for me to do it live, but they can. Love you. Now, are you Tom Perez? Tom Perez? Of course, I guess any Tom Perez is Tom Perez. Tom Perez. Tom Paris. Yes, Tom Paris from the whatever flyer in Star Trek Voyager. Wait, you'd be more famous if you were the Tom Paris from Star Trek Voyager, though. That's very funny. Yeah, sorry about that. It does happen occasionally. It's hard to moderate the crazies. Actually, I find sometimes I actually banned one of our moderators by accident. That's how tricky it can be. Were any of the mods able to go and help him over? I mean, are any of the mods over here on TikTok able to see over there? Or I can type it in over here so you guys can see. Let me type it in over here so you guys can see it over on TikTok. Oops. Trying to get a comment. Oh, Mandy was already looking. And it was on TikTok, Tom? TikTok says you guys blocked me. Yeah. Oh, you already had it in your thing. Great CFI. Great CFI. That's crazy, Mandy. As if it's, I mean, Tom, go there and try again. Go there and try again, because two of the mods are saying they're not seeing it blocked. I mean, two of the mods see it not died, which is good. Give it a try again. That's weird. It could also just be for some reason some weird TikTok fluke today, but if they're not seeing you in there, that's good. Now, as a last resort, oh, you know what I can do? Let me do this as a last resort. Hang on. I can open up TikTok and I can search for your name, and I can do it that way. Great CFI. Hold on. Great CFI. Blocked. Yeah, it does show blocked. Okay, unblocked. You had, yeah, there you are. Yeah, that was weird. Okay, you're unblocked now. That was weird. It should, well, wait, it should be unblocked now. Let me see. Yeah, it's unblocked now. For some reason, it was blocked. Who knows? But yeah, I forgot that for me, I can at least go and pull up a name and see it. Just search a name and see if it's blocked, and it makes it easy. Sorry about that. But yeah, with it, like I said, I blocked a moderator once, so so it happens. It happens. I'm bad with tech. Well, I mean, I better be good with tech. It's been a long time with me in tech. Oh, I'm sorry. So Lori was asking, with that in mind, then how much would that get Putin's back up if it's likely it would take years for Ukraine to join the EU anyway? I mean, the French were talking about 15 to 20 years. You know, what Putin doesn't want, I mean, look, Putin doesn't want any rapprochement between his sphere of influence, especially a country like Ukraine that he considers part of Russia. He doesn't recognize Ukraine as being an independent country, period, right? So the last thing he wants is Ukraine. This is very much like China and Taiwan, if you think about it, not to say the buzzwords that will magically make my screen disappear. But if the big guy perceives the little guy as not being an independent country, it doesn't like other people treating it as an independent country. And by giving Ukraine candidate status in the EU, that is something independent countries get. So it's one more way of solidifying Ukraine as a free country. And it is tying Ukraine more to Europe, more to the European Union, potentially, eventually, even more to NATO. Who knows? It's clearly a step towards towards the normal gang and away from the Nazi cuckoo gang that he runs. So I get why he's pissed. It doesn't matter if it takes years. It's a step in the wrong direction. For him, it's a dangerous move, but dangerous because, again, your battered spouse found somebody she liked. That's dangerous for you if you're a psychopathic maniac, but I don't particularly care. I mean, I care about your question. I don't particularly care about Putin's feelings because as far as I'm concerned, humiliating Putin does not bother me. Anyway, well, that was good. We spent a lot of time on that. Let me get back here. I know the voice was raspy, but yeah, I think it is helping. Yeah. No, I checked with my all my doctors were like, okay, you are on the most anti-asthma medicine you can be. So, and I noticed when I went on this morning to talk about Roe, my chest got tight again. So thank you, Flower Lady. So yeah, I mean, ironically, not to share too much, ironically, he's diagnosing it as a panic attack. But I was like, okay, but how is it a panic attack when I got online on like TikTok and YouTube to like talk to folks that I like? Like, I mean, I get excited, but nonetheless, the symptoms are panic attacks. So he gave me some stuff that is basically what one takes for such things. And it just kind of mellows you out. So, but I agree. It's not, I don't think it's not bad today. It's a little bit there, but it's not there. Oh, it's anxiety clearly, but it still makes me laugh in a way that I get anxiety from doing this because this is fun, but I'm still performing. So the fact that I'm performing means there's stress, I guess. In any case, Marcy, since we've talked, any of the newcomers, we've talked a lot about my asthma over the shows. So thus the reason I'm updating. From Roisin, I'm trying to get it right this time. Does EU candidates have EU protection? No, we talked about that the other day. Yeah, that came up yesterday or the day before, actually. That they do not have. No. That the EU doesn't work that way. It's not like NATO in that way. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Jessica. No, it clearly both doctors thought the other, and then finally my asthma doc was like, you're on everything at this point. You shouldn't be having asthma attacks. So throat's a little raspy, but I still think the throat could be from allergies today because we ever get another bad allergy day. Oh, what else we got? What else? Germany and their nukes. I don't know what was going on with Germany and their nukes today. Again, remember I was missing a little bit of the Well, no, that is true. I do project a lot. If anything, I was always probably a loud child, but then I did debate and drama in high school, and it taught me to project. And I have a very hard time turning off the projection to the point where I'll be in restaurants and people will turn around and I'll realize the second I know the look, the second I see the look, I go, okay, I'm talking too loud. But per se, when I'm doing this, I project because my mom gets pissed at me when I'm home. She's like, why are you yelling at the computer? And I'm like, I'm not yelling at the computer. But even just doing a doctor's televisit or a friend by Zoom, I was projecting at the screen. It was funny. And even with you guys, I've got to stop doing it because the mic is sensitive enough. I don't have to project, but I'm so used to that concept of talking to an audience. For example, I would project and I wouldn't need a microphone when I was projecting, when I would do speeches and things. And I often didn't like using the microphone. It was nicer to talk to a room of people with my voice, but it's something that's hard to turn off. It's a nice skill, but it's hard to turn off. What was your view on China supplying Airbus and Boeing parts to Russia? Oh, are they? Are they? I didn't see that update. Ooh, that's very bad if that's true. Is that, we know that for a fact, Brian? Wow. Thank you, Jessica. Do we know that China is providing the Airbus and Boeing parts? Ooh. Wow. Honestly, if I were Boeing and Airbus, I'd say, well, that's fine. Then we're not providing you these parts either because you're violating the contract. Wow. Thank you, Nikki, for that. And Doc is responding to the other question. The European Union has the common security and defense policy that does include collective defense, but obviously not as stark or spelled out as Article 5. And one of the things I learned a couple of weeks ago was something to the effect of the European Union's sort of defense policy thing was supposed to be fleshed out more in the next 5 years or so. But I read something about that, like it's not there now. It's about 5 years in the offing at least, where they're planning on perhaps making it more NATO-ish or whatever they were talking about doing. But that's what I'd read. Boeing is an American company, yeah. I mean, that's very bad if they're, but I am curious, what is the source on that? Yeah, could somebody check and see, check Google? I'm just curious if it's a good source, if we trust it. You know? Yeah, I would not trust some crazy report. If there's nothing in the mainstream media, then I wouldn't believe it yet. Yeah, I wouldn't believe it yet. Yeah. Macron is pushing what? Thank you, Rainbow Ray. What is Macron pushing, Eric? There's always a little bit of a delay. It's like talking to the moon a little bit when we do this. You guys post something interesting and then I ask a question and it's like we're like on 10-second delay back and forth, I think. Vincente did a quick search and came up empty. Thank you, Abel Catch. That was sweet of you. The dancing crab. Yeah, folks aren't seeing it, so yeah, if it's on some random person's page, I wouldn't trust that. Yeah, I'd wait for a real article. I actually trust the mainstream media. I mean, there's a lot of folks who don't, but I've been somebody, I mean, I know a lot of reporters and a lot of them are good people. They can get things wrong and they can get things wrong, but a lot of them are good people, and often really big scoops like that will come through the mainstream media. They will not come through Joe Blow. They just won't. It's on RT. Actually, RT, it shouldn't even be on RT. That would be making trouble for China. That would be making trouble for the supply if it's on RT. Is that true? It can't be on RT. That wouldn't make sense. There's no way. No way. I mean, the midterms, the midterms are weird. So we were talking about the American midterms and the, hold on, thank you for the Corgi Rascal. I'm putting my temperature a little cooler again, my crazy apartment here. As things currently stand, the Republicans are supposed to win. Now, just because the Republicans are supposed to win as of today, June, does not mean the Republicans will win in November when the elections are taking place, right? So that's not necessarily the case. RT is Russia Today. Well, it depends. RT can be Russia Today, which is the Russian propaganda org. And thank you, Olga, for the hat and mustache. God, see, we're going to do this to me again. Doing this to me again. You threw. I go and I try to politely answer someone's question and like, boosh, out the brain. What was I talking about, guys? I apologize. Ooh. 7:24 already. Maybe that's why I'm getting tired too. I may not do too many more questions because we're already getting late here. The Discord, nothing yet. Syndicate's helping me with it. He's going to be out of traveling for a little bit. So I certainly don't want to launch it until he's back. I still need to nail down sort of what the categories are in terms of, what it'll cost or whatever, if it's going to cost, parts of it will cost something. But as I said, giving folks value added, and I've got to actually sit with my nephew. I've been meaning to sit with him and talk about it. my guess is we'll probably do it this week. See, now I'm yawning at you. Thank you, Wandering. That he and I will probably do it this weekend. North Korea moving its nukes to the South Korea border. Really? They just don't quit. They just don't quit. No, yeah, let's wrap up. It's 25 after. Let's just hang out for a few minutes. Sasha was doing better. When you're talking about dogs, you're talking about poop and you're talking about and she had only had poop problems, was doing much better. Then the other day, my hair comes from being Greek. Then this morning, she once again wasn't sure she wanted to eat. And I was like, uh-oh. And after about 10 minutes, she decided she wanted to eat. And I get home from the doctor at 2:00 and she has thrown up all over my carpet. She also had diarrhea, but she, thank God, went into the litter box I've got for her because that would have been really fun. So she used the litter box for the diarrhea, but she threw up all over my carpet. I mean, multiple spots. So I was feeling horrible. So there is no recap today because we did Roe v. Wade. I interviewed Gloria Feldt, the former head of Planned Parenthood, talking about Roe v. Wade. And then most of our chat right now has been Roe v. Wade, really. So there is no recap, except you can watch the video. You can watch the interview with Gloria on my YouTube channel because it records it. So you can go to John Aravosis DC. So today I came home and I was like, oh God. And of course, it meant she threw up all her food. It meant she lost the liquid she was drinking, which I was not happy because you don't like them having diarrhea and throwing up. That's a bad combination. So what is happening right now, she's resting. She did have a sip of water, which was good because if your dog is not drinking water, a multi-poo, that's a good name of calling her. If the dog is not drinking water, that's really bad. I have the probiotic paste that also contains kaopectate. I've told you guys this before. The old kaopectate, the new kaopectate is a totally different formula. The old one has like kaolin and pectin, and the pectin is pectin. Pectin, one of them, I guess, calms everything down, and the other one helps to remove toxins and bacteria and flush them out. So it's a nice, and then it's a probiotic too. So because it's gooey and tastes good, I did some of that this afternoon and just brushed, because I brushed her teeth. I brushed her teeth with my finger, so she had to eat it, and she even licked some off my hand. So at least she got that. But at this point, let's see. I made her rice water, which is kind of the fallback. She didn't want that either right now. She did have a drink. No, I don't think she did. But the thing is, she got sick. She got sick a week ago. And the thing is, this has happened so many times that I don't take her for the vet for it because at this point, it's the same thing every time. And they're like, well, she might have eaten something. It's upsetting her stomach. Give her the rice diet. So I've got the diet with rice and chicken, not the heat though. I don't think it was the heat because it was better weather. I don't think so. Could have been though. That's an interesting question too. But what surprised me though was she was back to normal yesterday. The poops were good, which when you have dogs, like when you have babies, you talk poop. The poops were great. She was eating rice and chicken. And then today it's back to really bad diarrhea again. And I was like, oh, come on. It's like something, but we had storms yesterday. I think it was yesterday. We had storms and it scared her. Was it yesterday or the day before? It was Wednesday. Wednesday night we had the storms, but it still could have thrown her off and all of that. So, I'm going to see. Like I said, she's in good spirits. She did just drink some water. It could have been anxiety. She did just drink some water, which is good. And I mean, if she doesn't want to eat, if anything, it can be good for them not to eat for a day when their stomach's this upset. you know? Well, right now she's getting chicken that's been boiled to death and rice that's been boiled to death is what she's getting now, you know, with a little bit of the, you know, the the pumpkin. But she should not have been drinking stagnant water. I don't know where she would have gotten stagnant water. But it's true though, you never know. Um, I didn't do chicken broth. I mean, chicken broth you worry about a little bit about, although I've got a good bouillon, but you worry about salt, you know. Although I do have a very good bouillon that is I don't know if it's low sodium, but it's lower than most. And I could always potentially do, you know, a half broth or a third, you know, whatever. I just don't know how much is too much, and I don't want to kill her with sodium, you know. But I mean, I'm tempted to because I want her to drink the liquids, though. That's the thing. Normally she loves the rice water. She adores the rice water normally. You know, but I mean, I've got anti-anxiety meds for her already. I mean, well, anti-anxiety. I've got trazodone, which I use with the, you know, but she shouldn't be anxious right now. And I don't want to put her in a position where I'm also giving her drugs that might upset her as well, you know? No, that's what I'm doing. The boiled chicken water. Again, she threw it up today, but I should have known better too. You can actually, the dog equivalent of Imodium is Imodium. You can give Imodium. Yes. I don't know. I've not done Imodium for her this time around because it just acted up again, but I might do a little because I don't like, she clearly, every couple days, she gets where she doesn't want to eat and she steps back. Today, she stepped back for 10 minutes. And frankly, I should have abided by her wishes and just left some food out there and let her eat when she wanted to, you know? Yeah, again, make eggs potentially, you know, but that's what I'm thinking. Let it rest for today. She drank something. Yeah. No, she drank some water. She didn't go crazy, but it was an hour ago and she did drink some water, which was good. Grind up eggshells to powder and add them to food? Get out. Really? That's interesting. Huh. Ancient Ukrainian secret. That's interesting. No, I would consider a touch of Imodium because it calms things down. And well, the other thing, not to go all dog on you all, but I noticed 2 nights ago, not last night, but actually last night too, though. 2 nights ago, she was in my bed, out of my bed, in my bed, out of my bed. And I can tell when she does that, it's because something's hurting, like it's an intestinal thing. Because she'd get up and then jump out of the bed and then go under the bed. But it's because something went, and she was doing it again. And then last night wasn't perfect, but she still woke me up. Oh my God. She woke me up. I couldn't even tell you how many times she woke me up last night. And now that I think about it, that might have been why she kept changing positions because she wasn't feeling well. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm going to see what I've got. I mean, I've also got like the super food. I just don't want to give her food. I've got that, like the gel that you use if they haven't been eating well enough, like the super food gel. But I, again, don't want to upset her stomach. If it's coccidia, then she needs meds. Yes, I'm with you. The only thing is it got good. She was great for a couple days. Her poop was great. If it's coccidia, would the poop get great? You know? Her breathing's fine. She's acting totally normal otherwise. She's acting totally normal. I mean, you know, let me see if it keeps. No, Imodium is not toxic for dogs. Even my vet told me about the Imodium. Yeah, I know the exact. I've got to double and see the exact amount. You know, well, there was no stool today. It was just, you know. No, that's the thing. You don't want to become weaker and stuff, but the last several days have been eating like a banshee, water, rice water, no problem. You know? I don't know. Who knows? We haven't gone for long walks because of this. you know? So I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Like I said, I'm at least giving her her gums, gray or white. I could, well, if she hasn't gone to hide, well, she might be here. Hold on. Let me see if I can look without totally pissing her off, thinking I'm doing something evil to her. Hey, you, I'm just going to take a look. I'm just going to take a look. I'm just taking a look. That's all I'm doing. See her gums? Can I look? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. You're okay. No, I'd say her gums are red. I mean, I don't know what they should be, but they look like red, healthy red kind of color. So I'm assuming that's good. Yeah. No, they're reddish. Well, it freaks me out, you know. You're like worried about it. Okay. No, I think only because we've been through this so many times, I'm willing to give it a little more time. And mind you, up until the last several days, she was eating and drinking fine. So she was totally drinking, totally eating. It was just today, the diarrhea and the throwing up worried me because that's not good. You know, that's not good. Hard to say. Red salmon, but I mean, they were not grayish at all, you know. But but yeah, she's 12 and a half. She's 12 and a half, so I want to be careful, you know. But I wouldn't say they were pale. But no, I'll see. I may call because it probably will take a couple days to get in there. I may call them, you know, and maybe they'll want to give me something for Giardia or Coccidia or whatever if we have to, you know. I'm not convinced though, because she was good for several days. And I didn't want to give her regular food yet. Cause also this is what happens too. The last several times it's gone 2 or 3 weeks. See, that's what I'm thinking, irritable bowel kind of thing. It's gone 2 or 3 weeks the last couple times where it gets better and then it gets worse. And then it gets better and then it gets worse. And it's been this, you know, back and forth and back and forth. But Imodium, my doc already told me how much Imodium to give. That I know. If I do it, I already know how that works. I'm trying to keep her hydrated. The question is, let's see if she drinks. You know, she had some water. She didn't go to town, but she had some water. So I want to see if she keeps having the water. Yeah. But again, no. From what I saw, I think her eyes were normal. She left and went under the bed because she felt I was harassing her. so so I can't check her eyes right now. But no, I'm strongly considering the Imodium if I can get her to even take it, you know. Scared of the new water bottle. That's funny. Diabetes? Yeah. I mean, the thing is, she's had regular blood tests, you know, and if that should not be, you know, what's this about, Frackman? Eurasian Times, one of several reports. In Russia, Ukrainian goat shockingly injured. You got it up there. I've got to go to hang on, I may have to go to the YouTube page to be able to see it though, because I can't copy. It's an annoying little factor here. I can't actually copy the, mute. Oops. Where is that? Here we go. Okay, now I can grab that. Boom. See what this says. Rampage in Russia. Ukrainian goat shockingly injures 40 soldiers by setting off the booby trap. This sounds like something I don't believe. This just sounds insane. Yeah, this is crazy. I don't mean crazy, but I don't trust that. A little too much happening on that page there. Little too much happening there. Um, yeah, no, she could get subcutaneous if she had to. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I could, no, that's a point too. I hadn't processed it. I could process it too. Yeah. Well, other times too, what I've gone to is I've sometimes gone, I don't have any now, but I've gone and gotten that veterinary diet in the can for several days too to really calm things down. So I can call the vet and see, as always, it'll cost me $200, but what do you do? It's the dog, you know. But I still think I'm going to give her a little bit of Imodium because clearly that was bothering her again last night and the diarrhea. And I don't want to, Imodium and coccidia is not good. So I want to be careful with that. Um, you know, but I know they can get dehydrated fast, though, is the problem. The ID diet, correct. Yep, that's the stuff that I've used before, and I can get them from. I mean, they weren't horrifically expensive. I got like enough, and I would split it like with some rice and some of it or whatever, but just to really calm things down. Well, that's interesting. Blue Piggy, that's interesting. Oh well. Oh really? It's more expensive in the UK. I mean, $200 would be to take her in and have them check them out and say, maybe we should give her some coccidia treatment and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've had to do the syringe thing. I had to feed her. When she was deathly ill, I had to feed her with a syringe for 2 weeks. That was fun because she wouldn't eat. Force feeding food down a dog's throat. You have never, and the worst part was like maybe a quarter of the syringe would make it down and it was everywhere. Oh, I was beside myself. I was so upset. And finally, like 10 days in, she started eating on her own. And I was like, oh, thank God. Horrible. All right. Enough of this, guys. I'm going to go. All right. It's 7:45. Thanks for joining. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, we will go back to for a Ukraine update and any additional news on Roe, any additional fallout on that kind of stuff. And I'm going to go right now and possibly give Sasha a little bit of Imodium because I do think just to calm it down a little bit would not be the worst idea. Thank you, Christy, for that. I appreciate all the gifts and all the super chats. And you guys were very good about having questions for Gloria. So I appreciate that too, that everybody had lots of questions. So thank you. And do follow me if you don't already on the various tools here. And I will see all of you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time US. Okay. All righty. And I'll keep you up to date on the dog. All right. Bye, y'all. Hang up on you guys first. Bar, bar, bar.